Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be painting some pink peonies. This one was highly requested as part of my color series, and I'm really excited about it. If you haven't seen any of my other color series videos, I will leave a link for the playlist down in the description box below where you can check those out. I'll also have links to all of the products that I'm using. I'm using a size 10 Princeton Neptune brush. And then I'll have a link to my paper and all of the colors that I'm using today. So to start out, I'm actually going to prep my paints by just getting them a little bit wet with some water. I just have some water in a little squirt bottle that I got, and I just mist my paints. This really helps soften them up, and then it makes it way easier to pick up the color later. A lot of times I hear that people are having trouble picking up color and their color isn't as vibrant as they want it to look. Part of that is you have to wet your paints beforehand. So I've done that. I have a damp paintbrush, and I'm just going to start by picking up some color and mixing it on my palette for our pink peonies. Now I've got brilliant pink and some opera rose, and then a little bit of quinacridone rose. So we'll start with a bright pink, and then I'm going to move to a softer, more muted pink for the other part of my peony. So I want to move kind of quickly here. I'll also leave a link down below for all of my other peony tutorials. I've got several because I love peonies. I love to paint them. Okay, so I've got my first peony in place, and now I'm going to mix a more muted pink. I'm using the color I already have, so brilliant pink, opera rose, a little bit of quinacridone rose as my base. I'm going to add in a lot of water, like more than I think I might need. And I'm just dipping almost like rinsing my brush, and then without kind of scraping off the excess, I'm dripping all of that water into that pink color. I'm going to mix in just a tiny bit of yellow. That was a little too much because now my color looks orange. So I'll just add in a little bit more of this opera rose color to bring it back to pink. And then I know this sounds really weird, but I'm going to add in a tiny bit of green. I'm adding a touch of sap green. And that's just going to make it feel less vibrant and bright. It's going to just cancel out the pink, help it feel a little more muted. Still a little bit too bright and light, so I'm adding in a little more of that pink, a little more water. Now if you're trying to mix this color, you've added in green and it looks brown, that just means you need a little more of the pink. So play around and see what color you can get. Okay, with that same sap green, I'm going to mix my green for my peony and a little bit of perylene green. And now, just like I added in a little bit of green to mute down my pink, I'm also going to add in a little bit of this brilliant pink to mute down my green. So here's one of my tricks for adding in leaves. If you feel like you need to keep adding in leaves, but you feel like you're also going overboard with leaves, a trick is to just lighten the color of green. And then you can add in leaves to help fill in the space, but it's not going to take over what you've got going on. So right now I have all of the leaves in place that I want. My peonies I think are mostly dry. I'm going to let them dry just another minute and then I'm going to come in and add some more details to really make them pop. Alright, so my peonies have dried. I'm going to make sure that my brush is totally clean. And now I'm just going to go back over the top. So I've got my opera rose here. And you can see on my palette, I don't know if you can see this very well, I have the color that I used for my muted pink right next to the Opera Rose, and you can see how dull and brown that looks. But on my paper, it looks really pretty in that blushy, like muted pink color. So there's a chance that on your palette it might look a little muddy and brown, but then when you get it over here onto your paper, it actually looks really pretty. So try and trust the process, play around with some swatches. If you want a little bit more help with color mixing, you can download my free color mixing guide. It's over on my website. Go to snowberrydesignco.com/now and find the link to download there. So I've just added a second layer right over the top of where that middle of the peony is, and then I'm dropping in a little bit of color right where the petals would meet, and there would be a little bit of a shadow in there. I've also put in a little bit of alizarin crimson, which is what's giving that deep dark color right here. And then I want to darken just a little bit right here, but I don't want it to be dark everywhere. So to blend that out, I'm just rinsing my brush and pulling that up and out. And then I'll wait for this to dry again before I try and add a little more definition. These are loose, so I don't want to go in and try and add in every single detail because that'll just take away from what I've got going on. But I want to add enough definition that the peonies are the hero and my greenery doesn't take away from them. I'm going to try and mix that same blushy color. And it's not going to be exactly the same, but that's okay. So I'm just trying to add in color where there might be some shadow. And I don't know exactly where there's shadow. I don't have a reference photo or anything that I'm working with, but I'm just kind of guessing based on what I know about peonies, how they are really ruffly and they kind of have a top section that curls up, and then the petals kind of also curl down around the outside. And so that's what I'm trying to recreate here. Alright, now while the peonies are drying, I am going to add a few details. And I'm using raw umber violet, so just a brown color. Doesn't really matter what shade it is. Alright, I've got all of those details in place, so now I'm just going to make one more pass over my peonies to make sure that everything is looking good. I'm also going to add just a little bit of yellow here in the center. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about how to paint watercolor peonies, you need to check out my virtual workshop I did all about peonies. You can find the link for that down in the description box below. It's $10 and it's a 1.5 hour workshop with me where I show you different angles of peonies and then we put together a composition. We also mixed some muted pinks and it was a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Bye!